This is a short tutorial on how to create some objects in Access. I've just opened a copy of the bookstore database and I haven't enabled the content yet, so let me do that right now. So we have full use. We've got two tables here. One is a book titles table that has information about different books. In particular, notice the publisher ID, and then in the publishers table we have a publisher ID and the publisher name. So that is the link between the two tables. What I'm going to start with is a quick form based on the career book tables. So I select the table and go to create, because all of our objects are created here on this tab. And this form, because it's a quick form, I just click this button, which means I get the default for the form. The only thing I'm going to change here is the actual, I want civic layout, which is this one. And I also want to make the columns, and I'm in layout view, so I can choose any one of those boxes there, and there it is. To view it, I can switch it over to the output view where I have my buttons, and of course in a form view like this, the data is live, so I can edit, delete, etc. All the buttons are up here on the toolbar. I'm going to save this as the publisher, as the book title form. And then I'm going to close it. Next, I'm going to create a query in Design View. So I go back to the Create tab and choose Design. The table that I want for this particular one is the Publishers table. So I can close Show Tables. And on this particular query, I want the phone number, and I can double click to place it in there. I want the sales rep, and I can drag and drop, or I can come over and actually use the drop down for company name. My preference is to actually double click, so the next field is title. And my criteria is that the title be equal to sales representative. So I'm going to type in, and I don't have to worry about the syntax. Access will take care of that. Spelling is critical, but case doesn't matter. Then I can choose either to view it or to run it. Both of them give me data sheet view in the output. And as you can see, all of the titles are sales reps. So I have a subset or a dynaset of my table with only the records that the title is sales rep. Now if I try and close this, Access will ask me if I want to save it, and I do. And I'm going to call this particular query sales rep. I'm going to do another query, so back to Create, Query Design. This one I'm going to use the book title table. And on this one I am going to do a summary. That means I have to click this sigma up here to get a total row down here. And I want the category, and I also want the sales price. And this is a little bit different. Now I want it to group by category, but in total sales I actually want the sum to appear. So when I run this query, there aren't going to be very many records in the dynaset. Only the 3 categories that are available in that table, and then the total of the records in those categories. So it's a summary total of the actual information. And I can save this as sales by category, since that's what it is. And then I can close my query. So we have a form and 2 queries. Now we're going to do a report. And the first report that we're going to do is a quick report based on the publisher, the publishers table. So I'm going to select it, and then I'm going to click on the report button. This is a quick report where I get the default again, and I want to delete some fields here. So I want the publisher's ID field, so I've just clicked. It doesn't matter where, and I'm using delete from the keyboard to delete that. Then there's a summary total down here that I also need to delete, and I'm using the delete key. It doesn't fit. You can see the dotted line here. So I'm also going to get rid of the phone number. So I'm going to delete that. Now it fits on the screen. I do want, however, to change the title, and I had to click twice. Once to select it, the second time put me into edit mode where I'm deleting that space out, and I also want to bold these headings. So I'm going to hold shift as I click these fields to select them all, and then click B for bold. Again, if I try and save it, Access will ask me if I want to save it and give it a name. I know I do, so I'm going to click up here and get the Save As box here, and this one is called Publishers List. So I've got it, and I can close that one. The last one is a report in using the wizard. So I'm going to go to Create and then click on Report Wizard. On this particular one, I want the book title table, so I've got to switch to the table. And I'm going to move all the fields over with the double greater than, and then I'm going to double click the title ID, which moves it back over to the unselected, and I can do the same with publisher ID, or I can use this less than symbol. Then next, and I do want to group, so I'm going to choose category, and I could also double click there. And within each category, I want it sorted by title. And I'm going to accept the default step. That's usually the best selection. And I'm going to choose Civic here as well for my output. Design, and go to next. And it says, what do you want to call it? And I'm actually going to call it book title. So I'm going to delete the first part out here. Book title report. And I want to view it, so I'm going to go finish, and it's got a blank space at the beginning of this. Now, I am in print preview. I can see that because of the way the toolbar looks, but this is my report, and I can't read all of the categories, so I want to close print preview. And I don't want to work in design view, so I'm going to switch it back to layout view, which is much easier to work with. And I'm going to click here, and it wouldn't matter which of these categories I choose, and that's wide enough. Interviewing strategies is actually the longest category name. And it fits, but just barely, so I'm going to shorten by drag and drop here the actual author names field to make them a little shorter so that everything fits here on the page. And I am going to save this. Again, because I just made some changes, but it didn't ask for a title because I had already given it a title in the wizard. So now I have my forms, I've got a couple queries, and a couple of reports. To open any of these in output view, you just simply double click. If you want to edit, you right click and open it in design view, and you can switch it from there.